There are 6 primary components of a zero trust model. Point number 1 is the identities itself. We need to verify and secure each identity with a strong authentication across your entire digital estate. Then it is about the devices that the users or the identities are trying to access. And that means that we as security folks need to have visibility into all the devices accessing the network. We need to ensure that these devices are compliant and that these devices' health status is also perfect before granting access. Thereafter, it's the applications. That is because the identities access the applications with the help of those devices. But keep in mind that there is shadow IT, and we as security folks needs to discover the shadow IT, ensure that there are appropriate application permissions, have real-time analytics, and also monitor and control user actions. And then it's the data. It's important to classify the data, label the data, encrypt them as well, and then finally restrict the access to that data based on your organization's policies. Your devices, applications, and data need some kind of an infrastructure. It is this infrastructure that is mostly prone to attack. And that means that we need to have telemetry to detect those attacks, to detect those anomalies, and then when given a scenario, we must be in a position to automatically block and flag those risky behaviors and also employ the principle of least privilege. Finally, all of it sits on the network. The devices, users, applications, server, they are all part of our infrastructure. And just because these devices and users are on our infrastructure, they can't be trusted. We need to encrypt all internal communications as well. We need to limit access by policies, employ microsegmentation, and also perform real-time threat detection. So these are the various components of the zero trust model. To summarize, identities. Identities are provided by the identity provider. We provide some kind of a secondary factor authentication, also called as multi-factor authentication, in order to prove who the user really is. Next, it's the user's risk and also the session risk, which is calculated by something called as Azure Active Directory Identity Protection. The devices. We need to calculate the device risk and the compliance state as well to make sure that the device is healthy enough to connect to the corporate network and access the corporate applications. Talking about applications, we need to grant the right level of permissions, also called as role-based access controls, for the users to grant access to those applications. Moreover, it is recommended that the applications have single sign-on for Azure Active Directory. Next is the data. We spoke about classifying the data, labeling the data, and encrypting the data regardless whether they are emails, documents, or even structured or unstructured data. The infrastructure needs to be constantly monitored. The infrastructure may constitute of infrastructure as a service components like virtual machines, platform as a service components like app services, or even containers or serverless designs in your Azure estate. All of these are protected with just-in-time and version controls, plus you will have threat protection enabled on your infrastructure. The same goes for network as well. However, with network, we'll have more of microsegmentation in place, plus the real-time threat detection. This is how you can achieve the zero trust model. What I'm going to do next is share with you a document which Microsoft has created, and this will help you understand the zero trust maturity model. Thanks for watching so far. Let's go ahead and talk about the planning for a zero trust model.